I'm your soul, I'm your fire, I am the Flame Keeper.
Hello, this is Marco Vermiglio, the Flame Keeper. The Metal Creep asked me to talk about 4 of the most significant records in my life, and in this nearly impossible quest, I decided to go a little bit off the beaten path. Otherwise, classics like Metallica, Dio, Manowar, AC/DC will steal all the spots. Instead, I wanted to take this chance to talk about some more underground music that has been really formative to me. Let's start with Celtic Frost to Megatherion. I'd say that classic gateway bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden are the reasons why I became a metalhead. But the reason why I stayed a metalhead is undoubtedly Celtic Frost. When I was a kid, I was really attracted to all the classic features of extreme metal like darkness, evil, heaviness. But when I discovered Celtic Frost, and especially to Megatherion, I found a profound sense of meaning, biblical mysticism, and philosophical relevance that I've never heard in any other metal record before. And that was the moment in which I said, yes, this is 100% for me, this is my genre. So there is a very biblical and Old Testament atmosphere in the music and in the lyrics, especially because the lyrics are almost preached more than sung. And the most recurring mental picture I get when I listen to Megatherion is one of a ominous gray sky with clouds over a desert, with lightning strikes falling over the sand. And I think the extra instrumentation is complicit in making this picture appear, as there's timpani and there's horns that sound really intimidating and ominous. And I'm a huge fan of both the instruments, and actually I have used them extensively in my music, especially at the beginning of my albums. So if you listen to Poison Atonement by my old band Demonomancy, We Who Light the Fire by Flame Keeper, and the self-titled by Flame Keeper, they all start with horns and timpani. So I might have to thank this album for that. And also my song Dead Sea Waters is undoubtedly a testament to how much I owe to those biblical ominous atmospheres. The next album I want to talk about is Strano Fish, self-titled EP. Strano Fish is a band that everyone knows in Italy but has never found much appreciation abroad. The origin of the name comes from the fact that the Capanera brothers built a rehearsal space in the car workshop of their father, and they were so noisy that once the neighbors called the cops on them. Once the policemen arrived to inspect the place, one of them said, "This workshop looks really weird." Strano Fish concert in Rome in 2008, supported by Fingernails, another historical Italian heavy metal band, was my introduction to the underground metal scene in Italy, as I was just 15 at the time. Let's talk about the EP. Sound-wise is pure textbook 1984 heavy metal, but what sets it apart from its contemporaries is the use of Italian language and extremely romantic and dreamy lyrics. So these two factors contribute to create a very intimate relationship between the listener and the band. The Capanera brothers were truck drivers, so they lived on the road and in fact also died on the road in a car crash. This might be the reason why all the songs were so centered on this theme of the travel, of living. For example, Viaggio in Inghilterra, which means Voyage to England, is about a pilgrimage to England meant as this holy land of rock and roll. And Autostrada dei Sogni, so Dream Highway, and Piccolo Uccello Bianco, so Little White Bird, tell how living on a motorbike on the highway or flying away like a bird are means to overcoming dreams that will never become true, or a broken heart, or they represent a way to regain control over your fate. I wanted to talk specifically about this EP because those 4 songs are the ones that everyone, and absolutely everyone, sings along at Strano Fish's concerts. I've seen them probably more than 15 times, and in some occasions as little as 20 people showed up in the crowd, and even then the singer could just leave the mic to the audience and everyone would sing along to Autostrada dei Sogni. The next album I want to talk about is Crimson Glory, self-titled. The first time I heard it, I was in the car with a much older friend of mine. I was 18 at the time and I wasn't really into this well-played and intricate heavy metal. I was into rougher and darker stuff. So I said, I don't like this. And he was like, what? What do you mean you don't like this? You maybe mean that you aren't emotionally mature enough to appreciate Crimson Glory. And I was like, yeah, alright, okay, maybe so. Or maybe this is just not for me. And my dear friend Alessandro, you were 100% right. Because by now, I listened to the first 2 Crimson Glory albums pretty much weekly. When I was about 23, 24, I was working at the computer and listening to some music on YouTube, and the self-titled by Crimson Glory starts playing on its own. And by that time, I had already refined my taste in music, so I started appreciating better written, better executed, and better produced albums. So as it plays through, there's now many things that capture my attention and intrigue me. First thing, I'm hit by the production. The first song, Valhalla, starts with one of the most beautiful cannon shot snare sounds I've ever heard in my life. And I later discovered that this album was produced at the legendary Morrisound Studios. So this explains why it sounds so much better than its contemporaries from 1986. Then Midnight's vocal performance grabs me immediately. It's elegant, theatrical, technical, virtuous, but especially is extremely emotional. He can bring each and every single word to life. By the time the last song, Lost Reflection, hits, I officially become a fan of Crimson Glory and especially Midnight. With that song, it becomes clear to me that he knew something profoundly deep about the human experience, and that not only he perfected heavy metal singing, but he transcended it as he sang from a place of vulnerability in a genre where there wasn't much space for it. He can cry, scream, roar, whisper, or create these amazing stacks of angelic vocals, all within seconds of a song. And listening to this album is like witnessing an opera going on in your own mind. I urge you to give this album the time it deserves if you haven't, and I really hope it's gonna be remembered one day as one of the top metal records ever made. Next album in line is Dead Can Dance, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. Dead Can Dance represent a melting pot of pretty much every genre I like outside of the metal and rock scope of music. Of all their albums, I chose to talk about this one because I believe it encapsulates their essence the best. Their music blends genres that are quite a huge influence on Flamekeeper, such as classical, medieval, folk, and ethnic, where Brendan Perry's baritone vocals blend perfectly with Lisa Gerrard's beautiful vocalizations. She sings in a pseudo language, not an existing one, a feature which I recently learned to be called idioglossia, and this confers to the music a universally ethnic and exotic character. So wherever you come from, Lisa Gerrard's singing will always sound mystical, far, and mysterious, because it's not meant to be understood, but just felt. Also, all these features make this album absolutely timeless. I challenge anyone who knows nothing about this album to pinpoint from which era is this from. My mind is absolutely blown away every time I think this album was released in 1987. And if it wasn't for Brendan Perry singing in English, I wouldn't even be able to tell the nationality of the musicians involved. There is a continuous contrast between Western and Eastern influences, between ancient and new ages. So when I listen to this album, I am completely removed both from time and space. The only thing I know is that I'm in the realm of the sacred. And this is why this album is a must in my meditation and spiritual practices. I want to thank the Metal Creep for giving me the chance to talk about some music that influenced me deeply, and to everyone who watched this video till the end. Go check out the records we talked about, and go check out the new self-titled Flamekeeper album released by Invictus Productions on LP, CD, and digital. Keep the flame alive.